Hi, everyone. This is Kristen Mosian at the Portland Community College Small Business Development Center. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today, I'm here with Josh Fiegels, the owner and founder of Jude's Foods. Josh went through our Getting a Recipe to Market program in 2011 to launch his gluten-free and dairy-free cookies. And he is now all over the place in New Seasons markets in Oregon and Washington. Josh, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to hear our story.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear, so let's get going. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to launch Jude's Foods?
Yeah. As you mentioned, I was in the program, the Get Recipe to Market program in 2011. It actually goes back 1 year when my family and I decided to go gluten-free and dairy-free. And the catalyst for that decision had to do mostly with my son Jude and health issues that he was having. He's on the autism spectrum. He has sensory processing disorder. He has a lot of different therapies and things, but some people suggested nutrition and dietary change, and specifically gluten-free. Seemingly unrelated at the time, I was also having some of my own health issues, and so we all went gluten-free as a family, and within days, a lot of the mental fog for him started to clear. He started to be just a different boy, and then I also saw a lot of those benefits as well. So for our family, we went gluten-free and have been gluten-free and dairy-free since. One of the problems, as most everyone who has gone gluten-free knows, is that it's quite a lifestyle adjustment to give up bread and flour and all of those yummy, great things. And so over the course of that first year of being gluten-free, I was determined to continue baking because I love baking. I love cookies. And I was so unfamiliar with all of the gluten-free flours and flavors and textures that I was a little stubborn and not willing to adopt those right away. And so I developed a cookie using flavors and flours and textures that I was used to, which were, oats and almonds and eggs and things like that. And so about a year later, I was at a family event. I brought our cookies, which we had created at home, and I brought it to a family event. And my sister-in-law, who is a caterer for Eat Your Heart Out Catering in Portland, she's been in the food business a long time. She says to me, "Wow, these are great cookies. You should try selling them." And until that point, I had never thought about being an entrepreneur or necessarily a food producer or anything like that. And I thought to myself, hey, maybe I should. And I wondered, well, how would somebody go about doing that? And so I sat down to the computer and I Googled something along the lines of how do you get a recipe to market, or how do you take a food product and sell it, those sort of things. And the first thing that I came across was actually the Food Innovation Center. And we are originally from Corvallis. We currently live in Corvallis, and so we have a strong affinity towards Oregon State. And so there was just that brand recognition, and I thought, wow, this is really something. And so I did a little bit more research, found out that the Food Innovation Center had a couple of courses for budding entrepreneurs who are interested in the food industry. And so I set up an appointment with Sarah Masoni down there, went down there, and it was interesting. It was one of those serendipitous things. I had actually missed her email that she was sick, and so when I got there, there was unfortunately no appointment. And so I was just taking advantage of the time to see what resources they had, and I found the flyer for Getting Your Recipe to Market. And so that was what led me around to the Small Business Development Center and then the Get Your Recipe to Market course. And I read the flyer and I thought, this is exactly what I need to be able to sell my cookies.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, the Getting a Recipe to Market program, we partner with the Food Innovation Center and New Seasons Markets to create a really robust program. So can you tell me a little bit about what you got out from the program? How did it help you launch Jude's Foods?
Yeah, absolutely. I always refer to the program as like a food industry boot camp because I went in there as green and uninformed as as anyone out there walking on the street as far as the food industry is concerned. And week after week after week, the program builds on itself, and it starts with a very palatable introduction so that you can start to get your idea around, what might it be like to own a food business, and then it goes into specifics about how to take a recipe from home and change it into a formula so that you can scale it. We talked about finances. We talked about talking to potential buyers. It really was a crash course in a little bit of everything you might need to know to give it a go. And in addition to the classes, so we had weekly classes, and then we had homework and all of that. All of it was leading up to the sort of the final for the class, which was an opportunity to have a buyer-seller experience with New Seasons. And we were able to present our product. And so all of the things that needed to happen before that moment was really what the class was focused on. Things like packaging and sourcing and UPC symbols and, insurance, all the things that I had never really thought about up until that point. And then I would say that beyond that is just the foundation of having individual advising appointments with other food industry experts so that you can really fill in the gaps and customize with what your needs are as a budding entrepreneur. So it was really a very comprehensive program.
That's awesome. That's so good. So you went through the program in 2011, and then did you open your doors for a business soon after that, or and where's your business now?
Yeah. So after the program in 2011, it took us another 4 or 5 months just to get all the final details in place in order to get our product on the shelves. And so November of 2011 is when we sold sold and delivered our first cases of cookies to New Seasons. And we've been with them for the last 3 years. They're a remarkable partner, incredible to work with. I'm just thrilled that they were my introduction to food entrepreneurship and selling a food product. And during that time, we took about the first year to really cut our teeth and to figure out what volume we'd be expected to produce at a retail level, even on a local, what might be considered a smaller food chain or grocery chain. And quickly I realized that I needed to enlist the help of family because, it started as a family business, and it quickly grew beyond what I and my wife were able to do with our young children. And so a lot of extended family got in. And after about a year of just sort of enjoying the ride, I reached out to a co-packer in the Northwest, a contract manufacturer, and started that conversation about, how can we work with you to get down to the details so that you can make our cookies for us, so that we can grow beyond ourselves. Right. And that process actually took quite a long time to go through their R&D department and go through all the different changes that need to happen from being small batch mom and pop to something that's scalable, where we can, mass produce our cookie and still maintain the quality. So that's where we've been the last year and a half or 2 years is working through that process of partnering with them. And this fall, so just shy of our 3-year anniversary as a company, we went through our first production run with them.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it also, we have new packaging now, which is exciting. And then last month we partnered with a distributor, to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, as a small business owner, you really wear all the hats. And, I was the distribution, I was the head baker, I was the accountant, I was all of these things. And so, and back to your question about getting your recipe to market, one of the ideas that was presented to us was the idea of partnering with industry experts like distributors, like co-packers. And early on, I knew that was a goal of mine and of the company's. And so we just crossed that threshold recently in the last couple of months.
Wow, that's a lot of hard work got you to that point.
Yes,
that's great.
that's true.
Great. So, what has been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge has just been the hours involved, mm-hmm. and the late nights and the weekends and the unexpected investments of time. When I first got into it, as you can tell from my story, it wasn't like I went and got my MBA and came up with this very detailed business plan and worked out everything for the 5 years out. It was more inspired. It was coming from where I was at as a gluten-free consumer, and we just went. And so I had no idea that how many hours would be involved in the process. And there were several times in the last 3 years where my wife and I have said, should we just quit? Should we just throw in the towel? This is taking so much time, so much attention. And at each of those critical moments, meeting with an advisor or meeting with a friend or meeting with someone just to get a little extra help got us through those mm-hmm. times. And so all of that foundation that we've laid has paid off to now be at the place where I can run a business. I can hang up my apron, and I don't have to drive all around town anymore. Yeah. So simply put, it's just it just takes a lot of time to create something, to start something from nothing.
Yeah. And then, so what has been the most rewarding part of all this journey?
Yeah, so that's my favorite question because there's a couple of different routes to go with it. I think that the simplest way to say it, or the first way I'd like to start is just to say the customer feedback mm-hmm. has been what fuels my tank. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to customers who are just so thankful for our cookies, I recently got an email from a celiac customer, and she's been celiac since she was 18 years old. I'm sorry, since she was 8 months old. Oh. So since basically all of her life. And she just found our product, and she'd written me just to share that in all of her life, this is the best gluten-free cookie that she's ever had. Yeah. And those are the kind of moments where it reminds me that what we're doing is something special, that we're not just producing another product to make a buck, but that we're really putting out there something that's different. It's something that's going to make people smile. It's going to make them happy, and it's going to really be a blessing to our customers.
That's awesome. So my last question for you is, do you have any advice to give to people who want to take a recipe and bring it to market, or any other entrepreneurs?
Yep. The best advice I can give would be to reach out to those around you for help. Specifically, I can't say enough about the Small Business Development Center, the expertise, both just surely from the business advice, but then also specifically the food industry advice. Meeting with those advisors has been invaluable. Mm-hmm. And then I think the other part of it is just don't quit. Be patient, be willing to, when you're ready to quit, have that go-to person who can talk you out of it. So surround yourself with support, surround yourself with wisdom, surround yourself with people who can fuel your flame and keep you going.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it can get tough in the trenches, for sure.
Yes.
Well, Josh, thanks so much for taking some time with us today. I'm so looking forward to seeing your company do greater and better things. Congratulations for everything you've done so far, and let's be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a delicious recipe that you're considering turning into a commercial-ready food product? If so, consider the Getting Your Recipe to Market program. It's an intensive 14-week program that will answer all of your questions and will save you a lot of time and money in the long run. The next program starts March 2015. Click on the link below for more information.